Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our final session of today's Training Industry Leader Talk, Building the Skills AI Can't Replace, sponsored by Allego, Corporate Visions, InfoPro Learning, Hemsley Fraser, and SIY Global. So again, I'm Liz Bate, the Events Marketing Specialist here at Training Industry, and I'm thrilled to have you with us here today. Again, before we get started, though, I would like to quickly go over a few housekeeping items to help you interact with our speakers and get the most out of today's session. So throughout today's event, feel free to use that chat window for any comments as well as questions. We will be addressing questions throughout and at the end of the session, so please do not hesitate to plug those throughout. And once the session ends, a brief survey will appear in your browser. Please take a moment to share your feedback on the session, the speaker, and the events overall. And all of our sessions are being recorded and archived on trainingindustry.com, and you will receive a follow-up email from us that will link to the on-demand sessions for you to share with your team. Now, if this is your first Training Industry event, we would love to welcome you. We exist to make connections among learning and development professionals, and we offer tons of resources to support your role in L&D, like live events like today's Leader Talk, as well as through articles on our website, our magazine, conferences, research reports, and our podcast. We would also love to hear about what you learned from today's session on social media, so please follow us on your favorite platform so we can continue the conversation. But without further ado, it's my pleasure. I'm going to kick it off to Marcus from the Allego team to introduce our speakers and get the party started.
All right, let's get going here. Hey everyone, how we doing? I'm your host today from Allego, Marcus Woodard. I've got a great topic for you: how to blend AI and human insights for better learning outcomes. Now let's see if I can get this presentation rocking and rolling here. Allego is the only modern revenue enablement platform to lead across digital selling, content learning, and coaching powered by practical AI. Allego delivers the simplicity of an all-in-one platform without compromising depth, so teams can confidently know, show, and do what it takes to succeed. First up, we've got the chef for today, Jessica Peck, Senior Sales Content Manager at Allego. She's responsible for Allego's internal sales content management adoption by sales. She's also works closely with sales and marketing to generate, activate, and distribute learning content and programs for our sales team. Welcome, Jess. We've got what we're calling the patron, Sarah Plummer. She's the senior sales engineer and solutions consultant at Allego with over a decade of experience guiding buyers through complex technology evaluations. She partners with pre and post sales teams to deliver compelling demos, drive proof of concepts, and support enterprise deals from evaluation through implementation. All right, let's get going, ladies. Welcome.
Thanks so much, Marcus. I know to get us started, we're going to kick things off with a poll. We want to hear from you all. I love the reactions. Let's keep that energy going. Our question to you all is, where would you most like AI to enhance your learning recipe? So if you want to look at those options, we will get into why we're in the kitchen today and calling things recipes shortly. Right now, we just want to understand, are you looking to use AI for content prep, better personalization, coaching and feedback, maybe reinforcement, or you're not sure what to cook yet, or maybe you don't need a recipe book, you've got your own recipes passed down from generation to generation. If you have those original ideas, type them into the chat because we want to know those too.
And
We'll
just a
give it,
note, sorry to interrupt,
that's
Sarah.
okay.
I was just going to say, if you've got multiple screens, it's going to show up on one of them. I promise. We've got about 60% participation, so let's try and get to about 80%. People are still filing in, but fill out that poll if you can for me. We'll give it about another 10 seconds, so quick on the trigger, folks. All right, we're up to 65%. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll, and let's see. I got multiple screens going here. So for those folks in the on-demand, what you're actually not going to be able to see is 27% of you said faster content prep, 13% said better personalization, 15% said more effective coaching and feedback, 23% said stronger reinforcement and practice, 15% said still deciding what to cook, and 8% of you said, I've got no idea. I'm going to add it to the chat. All right. Take it
That's a good
away.
blend, I'd say. Good mix. We're going to keep those kitchen puns going, so hope you're not tired of them yet. All right, if you want to exit out of those poll results, we're back into the slides. So, what you're seeing here in our metaphorical restaurant today is the Enablement Deli. I'm so glad I could say that correctly. And its philosophy is that humans and AI work together in the kitchen. AI can be a powerful ingredient, but great learning outcomes comes from knowing what to add, what to leave out, and when something still needs a human touch from a human chef. We'll unpack all of that today. Note that we have 3 sandwiches on the main menu, a research and reinforce Reuben, a coach's choice panini, and rapid serve club. I hope everyone got a snack during the break because we are going to be talking about sandwiches quite a bit. At the end of today's session, you'll have a doggy bag to go of AI prompts that you can put into practice immediately following today's webinar. Chef Jessica, what is your secret? How do you make all these amazing sandwiches knowing exactly when to use AI and when not to?
Great that you asked that. I think on our next slide, I'm going to show you our enablement sandwich. So if you think about a sandwich, right, a typical sandwich, each ingredient is a key component that ultimately makes a sandwich, right? So if we think of enablement programs like this, a best practice program is going to have all of these key components executed each time for success. So extending this metaphor, right, your top bread is your learning objectives. What are we trying to achieve? Our meat is our framework. How are we going to assess that? Veggies is all of that content and training assets that we're building out for people to learn this. Our cheese is our application, right? How are people actually getting hands-on and practicing whatever the skill is that we want them to do? And then our bottom bread is our reinforcement. What are they going to take away? How are they going to continue to use this after the program is over? And so, as Sarah mentioned, what we really want to talk about today is where AI fits into this framework. We know that the human expertise and guidance is really crucial to this, and we don't think that should ever go away. But we also know that there are more and more ways to implement AI in an organization, not only for people like myself who are creating the learning, but also for those like Sarah who consume it. So, what we want to explore today is how some of those real AI use cases, what they are and where they fit into this framework to support and enhance that work that people are doing. So, Sarah's going to start us off by explaining how we even sort of came up with this idea from a recent survey that we conducted.
Thanks, Chef Jessica. In an open response survey, the question was asked, what are the key ways that you use AI in your role? Now, going across multiple departments, we should note that nobody was asking AI to do something that wasn't humanly possible. They were all actually wanting help with very human things. Recurring phrases in the survey results were actions like refine, summarize, research, understand something, create something, scan this for me, coach me on this concept, write this for me, or solve these problems that I have. These are all human things. They're just asking AI to do it for them, pushing further what they could do on their own with their time in their workday. I think a lot of people are intimidated by AI because they think this is a computer that I have to compete with. How can I either be better at being more human or more technical than AI? But AI is actually just a computer trying to be human. The literal definition of AI is simulating human intelligence, and it's just really good at being like us, but more connected and faster than we tend to be. The main reasons that these 200 people were involving AI in their daily work was to work faster, to reach wider, and related to saving them resources, most of them related to saving time or saving money. Jessica and I are going to take you through examples of working alongside your AI. She will be speaking as if AI is her artificial sous chef or prep team as the person making the meal, aka facilitating the training. And I will be providing perspective from AI as my dining companion, as the person eating the meal, aka the learner taking the training. Over to you, Jess, for our first sandwich.
Great. So we're going to start with the idea of using AI to learn something new. And I'm going to tell a little bit of a story about ancient times, 3 to 4 years ago now, before AI was part of our day-to-day life. I was tasked with rolling out some industry courses for our team, right? We needed to get everybody upskilled on the key industry verticals that we sell to. And I was working on one specifically around the pharma industry for our sales team. At the time, we didn't really have a big budget to bring in like external expertise for training. So I was tasked with go out and research, learn about this, and then train the team on what I've learned. So I did that. It took me many hours and we rolled the program out. And I think it was well received overall, at least on the US team side. But the UK team approached me afterwards and said, there's a lot of differences and nuance for pharma in the UK. Not surprising, right? There's different regulations and structures and how they sell there. And so I was like, I gotta fit this, fill this gap and fill this need. So I went back to the drawing board to try to come up with something specific to that team. And my knowledge in that area was like even less than it was for like the US pharma industry. I didn't really know much at all. And as I was researching, I felt almost like the more I learned, the less I understood because there was just so much to know and I didn't necessarily understand it. So I spent hours doing this. I think I ended up giving them like a one pager. It was like not sufficient. It was like the best I could do at the time. So this year, I think as we started to use AI tools, that particular training kind of haunted me. I was like, I need to go back and see if I can fill this gap now that we have AI. So I started using AI to brainstorm and asking it specific questions about the pharma industry in the UK. Brainstorming, not only general knowledge, but specifically how somebody in our industry might sell to it, how, are the different personas we work with, how they would interact with us. And at the time too, this was kind of a newer thing. I was a little bit skeptical of it. So I'd heard about it hallucinating and things like that. So I really wanted to make sure that if I was using it for this purpose, that I could validate that what it was creating was accurate. So I asked it to cite its sources throughout. And eventually it gave me like 30 pages of information that was specifically related to what I needed and to our industry and our sellers. And it cited all these legitimate sources and it was so helpful. So I took that and I was able to translate that into lessons that I could then share with our UK sellers and our new hires so that they could reference that as needed. So for me, AI really drove efficiencies and better output as a result.
Yeah, thanks for telling us about how you built that sandwich, Jessica. As a learner, so I'm the side with the doggy bag as the patron for today's slides. As a learner consuming the knowledge, it has to align with how I can digest it or when I'm even hungry, right? Meeting me where I'm at and when I need it. If this information was a sandwich, I needed it to be bite-sized and to-go friendly, essentially. AI helped me as a patron, aka a learner, search it, summarize it, and know it in the moment that I needed to find it. So, since Jessica and AI collected the information for me, I wasn't having to go out and do my own research and come up with my own hypothesis or go off message in any way. I was using what she already did a lot of the work on, and I don't have to make guesses about what our product solves within this unfamiliar territory. So, this is a great first use case of pairing together what the chef did and then what the learner did, both using AI. Let's look a little bit into that ingredients list of like how this worked in a process. Do you mind going to the next slide?
Yeah, so if we go back to that sandwich metaphor again, we look at our little board here. We just talked about two ways that we used AI to understand, right? So for research of an unfamiliar topic, to be able to teach it, also for validation of learning objectives, for brainstorming. The human element is obviously still here to ultimately create those objectives and content, but AI is reducing that burden on, on me, on the enablement person. And then additionally, it becomes an additional tool for the seller's toolbox so that they have, on top of those cheat sheets or job aids or things that we're creating, there's this new way for them to distill that information into a format that's relevant to them.
Yeah, this all sounds good, and I'm starting to get hungry. Jessica, if I was trying to make a sandwich like this at home, do you mind sharing a little bit of your secret recipe with me?
Of course. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that this webinar was something we were giving you a doggy bag, a takeaway that you could take to your own programs and start to try out if you haven't yet. So for this particular use case for learning something new, we have three AI prompts to try. The first here is a pressure test prompt where if you have, some specific learning objectives, you can use AI to actually help you think through those and make sure that you have the right objectives. So it's acting here like a skeptical team member and potentially poking holes in what you've created. So you're really making sure that you're thinking through it and that what you're intending them to be is what they actually ultimately are, right? The second here is this research prompt. So this is similar to the one that I used when I was doing my research for the UK farmer work I was doing. I'm telling it, I need this specific topic. Can you assume I don't know anything about it? And here's my learning objectives. Let me know what I can learn. And then from there, you can ask questions and iterate, but it's a great way to get started. And then this last one here, this is like a role specific for the seller who can take this, maybe the training content itself, and say, assume that I'm an account executive and I have 10 pharma companies in my territory. Give me some context that I can use in my role. So it's an opportunity for them to really have the AI help them direct their thinking.
Thanks for sharing about those prompts. Using these prompts are a great starting point, and a lot of people just don't even know where to start. So that's our goal with today's is every use case will have a takeaway prompt section. And then of course we keep alluding to this doggy bag, which will be deliverable at the end of the webinar. Once you use these, you can follow up with making modifications and personalizing it to your taste. So don't feel like just because a prompt answered you, you have to keep it as is, right? Keep iterating, keep making changes to it. And that magic human in the mix is the one that's actually making it what it needs to turn out to be. If you have prompts that you like to use for any of these use cases, so right now we're on prompts for new learning before we go to the next sandwich, feel free to drop those in the chat or collaborate with us afterwards. You'll have our contact information. Always looking at better tips and tricks on using AI or your favorite go-to prompts for use cases like these. If it's okay, let's go to the next sandwich on our next slide.
Well, I was going to say real quick,
Yeah.
you don't actually have to write these down. I actually put them into the digital room we're going to give you at the end. So you don't have to jot them down or screenshot. You'll get these in an easy PowerPoint. You can just click and grab them and enter them in. So, all right, well, let's go to the next slide here. There we go.
Nice.
All right, so our next use case is really all around practice. At Allego, practice is fundamental to any enablement we do here because it's really what people helps them build their confidence, right? And in a specific behavior or skill. And I onboard everybody here. I train a lot of people. I feel like people, that's the number one thing I hear is like practicing is the best part of anything that we do because it gives me a chance to try this out. So historically, again, in the olden days, pre-AI, that was, a lot of stand and deliver exercises that would go to managers, that would be graded by managers, or it might be live role play with a manager or a peer. In recent years, AI role play has really become a key function of how we use, AI to get sellers to practice. And on top of that, having an AI coach who can assess these role plays and give sellers feedback so that they can practice with less burden on managers to actually coach them. And one of the ways that we've done that is setting up practice rooms where people can try out those skills on their own, get that guidance from the AI first, and then if they're looking for additional, human feedback, they can submit to their manager for additional guidance. So this has really helped us scale this out. It's allowed us to be more nimble in being able to support practice opportunities as an enablement team. I can build these out really quickly now and deploy them in more situations. So an example of this recently was, we have an event coming up that our team is attending in the financial services industry, and we have some people coming who are going to be staffing the booth who've never done this before. And we also have, there's questions around AI compliance that people in financial services often come to the booth asking about. We want to make sure people have the value prop down correctly. So what I was able to do was use AI to build out a role play around this, right? practice talking to somebody who comes up and approaches you at a booth and asks you these questions. And that's now a resource that people can practice in advance of an event as much as they want. And it has that built-in guidance from the AI coach.
Yeah, I think this is a great call out example, and thanks for providing that real world story. When using AI, a lot of people come to me to learn about it as a formal certification, and not everyone's thinking about it as a self practice or something that employees tend to want to opt into. So, as the patron in this example, practicing a role play is actually something that I would do on my own time without having to wait for my manager or subject matter expert to give me coaching or feedback. So I can basically practice as many times as I want in a safe little bubble, and no one knows when I'm making mistakes, but I am getting corrected by the AI every draft that I do. So I'm not building memory bridges to wrong practices or the wrong way of messaging something. I'm actually self-improving with each take or even within the same take. It's pretty amazing how far AI has come along to actually stop me in the middle of a role play and correct me before I continue going. So this is an example of me using it as a learner where I'm practicing, I'm improving my score. My manager only has to look at it when they have time to, and I can immediately apply the feedback instead of waiting for them and their calendar to open up because we all know how busy leaders tend to be. We'll go to the next slide and look at the recipe behind this formula.
Yeah, back to that sandwich again. You can see here where AI fits into this particular use case, right? So we're using the AI to help us build and pressure test whatever that rubric is going to be for our coursework or our learning program. And we're all using AI to deliver the role play and the practice for our sellers. So this creates efficiencies not only for the enablement person, but also for the managers and sellers themselves.
So I've got a couple questions coming in here. If we can get them answered. One from Jerry. How do you ensure people are practicing the right skills when AI is so heavily used?
Yeah, I think Sarah alluded to this a little bit, but I think it comes down to you can't be 100% hands off with, there has to be some level of human involvement. And for an enablement person, that means defining specifically what you want coached up front and making sure that you test that it's actually giving the right information and right feedback before you deploy that. And I think that, you still want managers to spot check and to coach. And I think really what this lets you do is be more strategic about it. You can sort of scale out that learning and that practice for people and have managers really coach on specific areas where people need specific support.
Yeah, and I would add to that a little bit if I may. I would even say going one step further and involving a human after the AI role play has taken place is also part of like a self-service library of all those best practices. Because people often think, okay, I'm practicing, it's in my safe bubble, no one ever sees it except for maybe me, the AI coach, and maybe my manager. But you can actually open up a library of all the recorded best examples, and then people are still learning from other humans in the equation, watching their peers, learning from top performers of whatever the exercise is asked of them to accomplish. So I would say human in the loop is a really important element. We keep that in mind with all AI that we roll out within Allego personally at our company, whether that's checkpoints or just involving a human for the ultimate pass or fail certification at the end of the AI simulation. And then we also have, like I said, peer-to-peer or best practices. So you are still learning from people. It's just asynchronous and self-service in that library.
All right. So looks like the questions are flowing now. Jamie said, if you were utilizing an internal AI program, how easy is it for L&D to look through queries to gauge what employees are asking the AI and then creating learning moments based off the data?
That's a great question. Jess, do you want me to take a first pass at that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, so at least within the tool that we use in-house, it's something that Allego happens to offer within our suite. And what we have is the ability to look up search and engagement with which of those self-service exercises are. So we have the ability in our analytics within the software that we have at Allego. It will tell you, okay, here's what people are searching for, seeking out, which filters or tags related to that skill that they're seeking out, and it will tell you the engagement metrics with like how many takes somebody is doing or how many people are opting into or completing those exercises. So we are getting data as far as like what is popular, what is getting engaged.
Great. I think, what was it, five? Is it 5 or is it 7 times that people take practice on their own, right? I
Yeah,
saw some stat there.
that was the last stat I heard too, Marcus, was the average person would take something about 5 times before they felt like, oh, that's my best one. Let me submit that or hand that one in.
It takes me about 20, I feel like. All right, so Greta says, what are the major concerns that school districts have with AI concerning student learning? I don't know if you can answer that one or not.
That may be a little out of my expertise, so I don't want to mix something up or
Yeah,
ask AI behind the scenes.
maybe someone in the group could chime in for Greta's question there. We've got a lot of subject matter experts here, so anybody knows that Greta's question, go ahead and pass that in the chat. Um, 7 times. Susan says 7 times learning. Um,
Nice.
Something for it to cement. All right, go ahead
Plagiarism.
and
Okay. I'm seeing some of the answers related to the school district question.
okay. Do we want to continue? I can swap the slide here. Go ahead, take it away.
All right, so again, here are some examples of prompts that you can use to try some of this at your organization. And these three go together really well in building out an AI role play. So this first one is really scenario building. When I create a role play, I like to use AI to actually help me build out believable scenarios. So like if I have, using the example I had mentioned earlier, where it's like a trade show and there's a booth and I want to have them go after this specific, type of value prop conversation or objection handling, I might put that in here, but I may also ask the AI, can you create a person for me? Like, who's this person? What do they care about? What is, where are they coming from? What kinds of questions or concerns might they have? And the AI actually can create like a full-on like profile for that person. And I find that the more detail that you can provide about this person, their motivations, um, the better that the role play is going to be. It's the more realistic it's going to be. So I love to use AI for that purpose, just to help me kind of think through and create like a person that they'll be role playing with. Along with that is the idea of using it to help develop the guidance for an AI coach. It feels almost meta to say, like, I need AI to help me talk to an AI, but I find that it helps really well with creating prompts for AI coaches that speak to AI in a really realistic way. So that's another way that I use it, is to have it actually build that for me. And then I will also have it help me with rubric building. So like I'll come up with what I think it should be, and I'll say, hey, is this the right information, or what might be the criteria that you might select, and pulling all of this together can make a really powerful, detailed instructions for the AI coach.
Yeah. And to reiterate how I would use this as a learner receiving feedback or the AI coaching mechanism, I can practice as many times as I want, instantly getting that feedback, reflecting on it, and then practicing it any time that I have available on my calendar without waiting for the other party to practice with me or another party to give me that feedback. I'm seeing some really good inputs in here about, concerns around AI being plagiarism or potentially being used for like lessening critical thinking. So I thought I would just go on a quick moment of answering maybe my take on that. What we typically see is that when they're asked to say it aloud, even if worst case scenario they are reading from a script, they are at least saying it out loud, right? That's gaining at least one skill set is just the practice or the muscle and memory of getting it out there and being able to articulate it regardless of the source of where they got it from. Now, you may be referring to potentially like written AI or something like that. That may be different. The other question or opinion that was raised that I think is worth noting as well is the risk of lessening critical thinking. So the whole time here in each use case, what we're trying our best to highlight is that AI is a part of the decision making, but it's not necessarily doing all the decision making for us. So it's up to the human in the mix to say, okay, which prompt should I use to get me this answer? Or is this the right answer? Did I proofread it? Did I edit it? Did AI get me, 80% of the way there and then 20% is still me on top of it? So just like back when I was in school and they said, you won't always have a calculator, and now guess what's in my hand in my pocket at any time I needed a calculator? AI is not going anywhere anytime soon. So how can we incorporate it and give them prompts that help them iterate on it? I've even seen some schools go as fun as to say, dissect what the AI came up with and tell me how you knew it was AI, or make this prompt sound more human. And they're playing into that fact, getting them more involved and engaged with the exercise is kind of like being the detective side of finding the human in the AI output. So there's lots of things that we could discuss that I know we're not going into in too much detail today, but I just thought those thoughts might help you as you consider some things with the school district answer.
All right. So our final use case here is really all about using AI for content creation. AI can be really useful for helping to speed up the actual creation of content and translate that content to specific roles or needs. And so if I go back to that pharma example from earlier, one of the ways that I used AI for content creation was actually to help me translate that 30-page document into a consumable lesson using our own lesson builder, not wanting it to just be like, here's a 30-page document, read that, but have it be consumable, have it have knowledge checks. And ultimately, I still needed to go in and proofread that and put it in my own voice, but it was a really helpful way to translate that for me. I think more broadly, I've used it to take existing assets and translate them to different roles. An example of this would be our SDR manager wanted to take our long form case studies and distill them down into a couple of sentences that the team could use on the phone, right? So they can't cite, a couple pages worth of information on a cold call. They need to be able to really quickly share a story like in a couple of seconds. So what I was able to do was build out a custom GPT where it was pointed at all of our customer stories and built out a prompt that said, like, put it in this specific format so that when the SDRs would go searching for it, they could say, I'm about to call into, a financial services company, and I'm going to be talking to this person, this persona, press a button, and it would spit out a related case study for them in a couple of sentences, formatted how they need it. So that really helped them get what they needed for their call in a click of a button.
Thanks for sharing that, Jess. As someone consuming it, as the patron in the example, I need to adjust these outputs to my audience. So in my world, it may be a customer or a prospect considering buying a Lego, for example. So I might need a written response that is formatted correctly for them, or maybe I need a script that I can read when I'm doing a presentation, or maybe I need help with a webinar for all of you. Whatever it may be, I'm reaching towards AI to help me reformat my thoughts, but I'm still giving it some sort of source material to edit or make it my own from and insert my voice into. And maybe it's just a matter of saying, now that I've got this one example, how can I rinse and repeat or make it something scalable? Again, going back to those earlier survey results to save time, to make my one effort of an email draft last for more than one use case or more than one conversation. So it's definitely a delicate balance between when to interject myself into what the AI output is, but that's what the point of today is kind of making those decisions on which part of this should be my voice and which part of this can I use AI to help me scale and help me do these tasks that traditionally take longer time. I think one of our survey participants said they have AI read their entire inbox and tell them everything that they've done that year to help them with performance reviews or call outs or projects that they've done. So I've seen so many really interesting use cases of using AI to help create something alongside of this Rapid Serve Club story. Can we go back to the recipe maybe or forward to the recipe for you? And then Jessica will talk a little bit about how to make this formula work for Rapid Serve Club.
Yes, so as you can see, here's our sandwich again. We have AI here for actually building content like lessons or other content creation, job aids. And then it can help, as Sarah said, by translating that content by role or making it more relevant for the end user.
Just a quick, what what different types of AI have you tested out, Jess? There's a bunch of chat in the coming in about different tools and things like that, but is it Chat GPT? Is it Claude AI? What have you tested, and what do you think kind of works better?
I mean, I typically use ChatGPT and Gemini. I think those are probably the two I use the most common. I know our team has also played around with like Notebook LM to help distill or create like podcasts and things like that. So I would say those are probably the three that I use the most in addition to our own, technology.
Awesome. All right.
Great.
All right. So I think this last prompt is an example that you can take to try pulling from an existing source material and translating it to something new or role specific.
Yeah, reminder to everyone that just a second from now, you'll get that doggy bag of to-go resources, collecting all of these prompts that Jessica was telling you about how to use and to put into action so that you can at least start with AI's output and then use your human critical skills on top of that to reiterate, to reprompt it, or to make your own prompts that you want to save and maybe even turn into a custom GPT for you to reach for to go faster with your day-to-day work activities.
And this is just taking all those components that we looked at throughout this presentation all in one slide so you can see where the AI fits into all of these categories, right? And as we said, the human chef is still a huge part of this. That's not going away, but really AI is making this more efficient and easier for rolling these programs out over time and for, sellers or learners to consume them.
All right. I'm gonna go to this take-home slide. So let me add, you can either pull out your phone and snap a picture of that QR code, or I'm actually going to add the slides and prompts we added to the digital room, which is also going to house the recording as soon as we're done here. I'm going to also add in Jessica and Sarah's LinkedIn. Make sure you connect with those two. Uh, they got a lot of info to share, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to them. Um, all their information is also in that digital room. So right now we'll take some questions. It looks like we've actually answered a lot of them as we go, but any kind of final thoughts from either of you, Jessica or Sarah, based on some of the comments we've seen while folks are adding
Yeah,
any comments they got to the chat.
I think when we hear from newer users of AI, and you may have heard this from the earlier session, so apologies if this is a repeat for those that have been in all of them, but it's just getting started. So that's the goal with these prompts is to just get you to try it. And then, you don't have to use it. No one's forcing you to use the AI prompt, but just to try it out and see what you like and don't like about the prompt. And you'll start to learn or see more. I follow a lot of AI prompts influencers on LinkedIn and I get a lot of new prompt ideas that are role specific to what I do day in and day out. But there are so many prompts you can find just floating around at any point on social media or any kind of work networking event. I just recommend you just try them and see which ones work best for you. Not all prompts are created equal, and you will learn the level of detail and human input mixing into the prompt that you need to make it your own.
And I,
This. Oh, go ahead, sir.
oh,
Just sorry. Sorry,
I was just going to add, I think alongside that is just iteration is your friend with AI. Like I find that I'm constantly like going back and trying different things or adjusting things and seeing what happens. I feel like it's just evolving so quickly. There's always like different things to try, and you might have tried it once and then you try it again and you get a different, a new result, or like there's like an enhancement. So just continuing to play around and seeing where it goes.
Nice. Looks like Susan already got started. I see that they've already plugged in a prompt or two. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, figuring it out as we go here. Great, love that. Let's see. So it looks like we've got to all of the questions that were asked. There's a question from Jamie. You might not know the answer, but hey, we'll pick your brain. Is there a best for AI for formatting like slides, Excel reports? Anything you guys use to help with that? That might help Jamie out?
Personally, I just try to use whatever tool I'm working with layered over Copilot or something. So if I'm in a Microsoft application, I might use Microsoft Copilot. And then when I'm in a Google application, I'm using Gemini on top of it. So I usually try to start with whatever the paired AI is intended for, because I know it'll be able to read and hopefully work alongside of its counterpart very nicely. So I typically start from there and then branch out to my tried and trues like a Chat GPT or something like that.
Jess, anything from you?
I know there's one that our marketing team uses, but I cannot remember the name of it. I apologize. I don't know if you know, Marcus, but
I think it was the Gamma app is what somebody
oh,
was
is
saying.
it?
And then
Yeah.
Google Slides, we use Beautify Slides. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have been using Canva. I personally use Canva for a lot of personal projects, but I've started to use it more at work, and they've released quite a few AI features as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's see. I might add in all of these links here again, just so it's top of mind. Like I said, connect with Sarah and Jess on LinkedIn, and the slides prompts are all within that digital room. Um, Back over to you, Liz. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. I am hungry and I did not get a snack. So I hope everyone else is in the same boat as me, but this was a lovely way to end today's session. So thank you all, all three of you. This was a lovely session. And I just loved the slides and the iteration. So I know I'm walking away with some goodies as well. So thank you all. As for everyone else, though, that is an end to today's event. So thank you again to all of our dynamic speakers and sponsors, Allego, Corporate Visions, InfoPro Learning, Hensley Fraser, and SIY Global. So all of today's sessions are pre-qualified for credit hour by SHRM, HRCI, and ISPI. So please send an email to me or anybody on the TI team, and we will send you those codes. If you are a CPTM, you do have a different recertifying process, so definitely reach out to your courses team or your cool guide and recertify these credits there. Additionally, I would love to meet you all here in Raleigh, North Carolina for the 2026 Training Industry Conference and Expo. Places where learning leaders like you gather to forge new professional connections. You learn from each other, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So right now we do have early bird savings all the way till the end of March, so check out that deal before it's gone. Additionally, if you want to gain the expertise to build effective leadership development programs that drive organizational success, you can earn your Leading Leadership Development Certificate to begin developing better leaders and achieve greater impact. So one last reminder, that survey will pop open in your browser upon exiting, and we would greatly welcome your feedback. Again, thank you all for joining us today. Until next time, I'm Liz. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.